Thank you for joining us today for our 2014 Secrets to Success webinar series, our third 30-minute no-cost webinar this year. Today's topic is how to find and engage new customers, presented by Michael Wentworth of TMR Associates. My name is Ryan Kauth, and I will be your host today. I direct the Wisconsin Small Business Development Center, or SBDC, at UW Green Bay. The Wisconsin SBDC is a statewide network of resources working with small business owners and their executives to facilitate growth and improvement and to help launch successful new companies. The no-cost business counseling and the low-cost professional development training of the Wisconsin SBDC at UW Green Bay is funded in part through a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration, or SBA. Our website is www.uwgb.edu/SBDC. The Secrets to Success webinar series is designed to help small business owners and their executives increase their effectiveness and thus their financial success. At the conclusion of today's webinar, we will provide the upcoming webinar topics, and we encourage you to consider registering for those on our website. I would like to thank our partner in these Secrets to Success webinars, First Business Bank, and we thank them, Mickey and Tim, for their continued success in working with small businesses. During the webinar, we invite you to ask questions at any time. Please use the menu at the right of your screen in the section indicated here within the red circle. You may type your question there and press Enter to submit it. We will also take a question or two at the end. And now, I am pleased to turn it over to our expert presenter this month, Michael Wentworth of TMR Associates. Michael?
Thanks, Ryan. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you taking your lunch hour to join us for this little discussion. I'm Michael Wentworth. I'm with TMR Associates. We're a firm that does B2B appointment setting. We do customer interviews and cold call training. And we've been doing this since 2011, but my career, as you can tell by my cheerful photo here, I've been around for a little while doing a variety of things. So I've got a lot of business experience in what I'm talking about here. What we're going to focus on today is how to identify your best prospects, how to find them, really, and how to create a list so that you can target those prospects, and then how to engage them with the right message. So those are really what we're going to focus on. I'm going to share some tools with you. Feel free to ask questions at any time as we go through this process. The first piece about going out there and getting new business is how do we identify the best prospects, the people we want to spend time chasing. And really, I kind of like this photo. The whole idea is Dorothy left Kansas looking for something. She wanted an answer. She wanted her future. And she spent a lot of time in a place far, far away and ended up finding out that the answer was really in her backyard. And really, that's the truth when it comes to finding out who you should be focusing on. So you look at who are your best customers. If you want to know who your best prospects are, look in your own backyard. So take a look at your customers and say, okay, who's the highest volume customer? Who's the most profitable? Who's the easiest to work with? Who are the best payers? And where do they fall within specific industries, specific location, size, markets? And there may be some other criteria that you look at. But the point is, look at those customers that you're working with that you really like working with, the ones that are really the kind you want more of. They'll help you define who you need to be going out after. So then you create a target prospect profile. This is who we want to actively sell to. Now, one of the things that is difficult for sales, difficult for small business, difficult for everybody, is that you're not selling to everybody. You're selling to a small section of the population. Profiling your target gives you an understanding of what does that population look like, where do I need to be spending my time. So once you do that, you want to look at how to create a powerful list without paying a list company. And one of the things that I talk about at length, and I want to share with you folks, is that you can buy lists, and I have done this, from just about everybody. I mean, Salesforce has got a list, Jigsaw is connected to Salesforce, Hoover's, OneSource, D&B. There's all varieties of ways that you can to get a list. But the truth is, at the end of the day, the lists are all marginally valuable. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the contact names that they give you, about 50% of them are accurate. The other 50% are junk, and you're going to have to research them anyway. So the way you start this out is establish a criteria, as we just discussed. Identify the companies that qualify. Decide whether you're going after headquarters or plants, and then verify your contacts. So we're going to look at how to do those things. Establish your criteria. This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Geography, product or service, market sector or industry, size, revenue, employees, customers, who they sell to, sales channels, how they sell. All of those things might go into your criteria. And then you need to identify companies. Now, if you're in the Northeast Wisconsin area, the Brown County Library has a very powerful list service, and it's free. Just get a library card. You go to their website. You go down to Research Tools and Download Media. Now the website's changed. I'm going to have to change my visuals, but it's the same place. And you find this product, A to Z Databases. And again, absolutely free. There's no charge. So you go on here, and you notice along the left-hand side, you've got a lot of options for building your list. You can build it by geography, by keyword and business type, SIC codes, NAICS codes. You can look at headquarters or branches, employee size, annual revenue, phone numbers, legal status, and all kinds of things. And then there's more. You can look at ownership, subsidiary, women-owned, minority, private, public, or you can look at other important selections. So these are all very helpful in identifying your list. And if you notice in the upper right-hand corner as you build your list, right here, as you add criteria, click this update count, and the number will start getting smaller and smaller and smaller until you get to a target list size that makes sense to you. The other thing that you do with that list is you can download the list into an Excel file. And I don't have that functionality on this presentation, but it's really quite easy to do. And that's, it's just a bunch of clicks, and before long you've got an Excel file that's got a big target list on it with everything that you need to know about a company. So now you've got a company, and you've got their address, and you've got some contacts. Maybe you want to understand what locations do they have. Well, one of the best tools that I found is Manta. If you know the name of the company and you know the primary address, you put it into Manta. And what Manta will show you, as it shows you here with Schreiber, is all the branch offices. Okay, so if you're selling to plants and you don't necessarily have to sell to the corporate office, this is a terrific way to find out those locations. And it's very quick. And it's free. Okay, so when you click on these, you get a little bit of information. You find out who the manager is at the plant, find out what they're doing there, their address, those kinds of things. But it's basically high-level stuff. But Manta is pretty accurate. I'd say they're better than 60-70%, which is really pretty good. So now once you've got these contacts, you got to verify them. And this is homework you got to do. One of the easiest ways to do it is through LinkedIn. So you got a contact name like we found on the last one, and you put it into LinkedIn, and you find out, okay, is the person really there, and what's their role, and is it the right person for me to contact? And now you know they're real, they're really there, and they're really in that position. So now you can call with authority. So that's how you create your list. The other piece of this is how to create a compelling value proposition that will engage prospects in seconds. Now, many people have heard about elevator message and pitches, real quick one-line pitch that you can use when you're, meeting somebody for the first time. And really, this is going to help you with that. The truth is that when you're reaching out to new prospects, you've got 15 seconds. After that, they're gone. If you haven't won them in 15 seconds, you're out of there. So what does that mean? What do you have to have included in that? Well, it needs to have a common description of your business, a generic description. And this is the one thing that people struggle with, is they like to try to tell a big complex story that they're distinctive and unique. Well, my business is kind of different than any of the other businesses. It's, it really does these things, and it doesn't quite do it that way. It kind of does it this way. And before long, the person's yawning and they're gone. Okay? What you need to be focusing on is, what business are you in? In my business, I'm a cold caller. Pretty simple. You know what I do the minute I say it, and you pretty much know whether you need it or not. The next statement you make is, you perform a high priority job. What do they need done? My cold calling company schedules introductory sales appointments. That's the high priority job that people need done. They know what I do. They know the job I do. Pretty clear. So what job did they originally hire you to do, and why did they choose you to do it? Look at your customers and ask that question. What was the job they originally hired you to do, and why did they choose you to do it? This is important because I know this sounds very simple, but remember, when you call somebody or when you're reaching out to somebody, you're interrupting their world. They've got to figure out who you are, what you're doing, why you're here, and whether or not it's relevant. And you do it very fast. And you've got to hit them very quickly with clarity, not distinction. And one of the best books out there that will help you with this is a book called The Back of the Napkin. Dan Rome put this together, and it's a cute little book. As you can see from the cover, it talks about how do you make drawings that tell stories. Okay? Very effective, very good. But the secret recipe in here is what's valuable. What he talks about is the psychology of how we consume information. Okay? And what it is it's all through recognition. And we all go macro to micro. So the minute we are introduced to something that we've never seen before, we're immediately trying to place it in our big memory bank of what is it. And one of the examples he uses is walking into a bowling alley. The first thing that our eyes do is it's a structure. It's the first thing we come to a conclusion about. And then when we're inside, it says, okay, it's got these things, it does these things, it smells a certain way. We start distilling it down. Now all of this takes nanoseconds. And then finally we recognize the sound of the bowling alley, and we see people doing it. And then we know where we are. But that's how our brain processes information. We don't process it the other way around. We don't begin by saying, I've got the 9-pin up. Okay? Now somebody might be able to recognize that, but for most of us it's like, where am I? What are we doing? What are we talking about? They want that reference point, otherwise they're not prepared to listen. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying before is, start simple. What business are you in? In my case, B2B cold calling. What job are you going to do for me? We specialize in scheduling introductory sales appointments. Wow, okay, I know in a matter of seconds what this is. And I also know it in a way that allows me to get my arms around it. So I've got some examples here. My company, TMR Associates, B2B appointment setting. Performa, it's a firm here in De Pere. They're architects and engineers. Joseph A. Interiors, they're commercial millwork. Pathmakers, they're leadership development. If you look at all of these, you might say to yourself, well, those don't really position me distinctively. They don't have to. What you're doing there is you're helping the person you're talking to understand the big bucket that you work in. Because this statement confirms for them whether you're talking to the right person. They'll say, I don't have anything to do with architects and engineers. Then they'll refer you. Then you focus on what's the high priority job that you do for them. Now, Thomas Levitt, a famous Harvard business professor, once said, nobody buys a 3/4 inch drill, they buy a 3/4 inch hole. In other words, they buy the result of whatever it is they're buying. So you need to focus in on what's that high priority job that they need done. It'll be common to many. It's very tactical and very specific. It's a door opener only. So you don't want to come in and say, we do soup to nuts, because that doesn't help anybody. And it must be critical to the prospect. It must be something that they have to get off their desk. It's burning a hole in their desk. They don't know what to do with it, and they got to get it off of there. So in the case of B2B appointment setting, we schedule introductory sales appointments with new prospects, as I said. For Performa, in their case, it was increased cheese production without increasing square footage. To cheese plants, that's a very attractive message. commercial millwork. Make custom millwork that requires the most demanding fit and finish and most demanding schedules. For millwork companies, that's something that everybody's looking for. And leadership development, they support existing leadership development programs with individual executive coaching. The firms they were calling on had existing leadership development programs in place. What they were looking for was individual executive coaching. So that's how they were able to distinguish themselves. Finally, how do you get out there and engage these people? You got to cold call. Now, I'm partial to cold calling. It's what I do. But I want you to know it's incredibly powerful. And people keep saying there's 100 different ways to avoid cold calling. The truth is, you got to cold call. So getting back to this 15-second message, a common description of your business, the high priority job you do, and then you ask for the appointment. Remember, to get that information, interview your customers. And then when you ask for the appointment, you're looking for an introduction only. It's not a sales call. You just want to shake hands face to face. Something like this. I'm going to be in your area the week of July 22nd, and was wondering if you might have a few minutes sometime that week that I could stop in and introduce myself. Very disarming, not threatening. They're going to say, well, if he just wants to stop in and shake my hand, that's fine. I can do that. That's how you get in. And what makes it work? And why does this even qualify? You know, one of the things that comes up a lot is people ask me, well, what are you doing to qualify them so I know they're wanting to see me? The truth is, none of us in today's world have time for non-essential meetings. If you go through the messaging that we just discussed, and they know the high priority jobs that you do, and you're saying you're going to stop in and see them, and they agree to meet with you, they have a need. They don't know how to articulate it, perhaps, but they have a need, because no one has time for a non-essential meeting in today's marketplace. That makes every appointment you schedule qualified. So how do you find time? Well, here's just an example of some of the average conversion rates. If you have 100% of your calls, so let's say 100 calls that you make, you're going to talk to maybe 20 people. And out of that, you're going to get 3 appointments and then 1 sales opportunity. So it takes 100 calls to get 1 sales opportunity. And it takes 2 to 3 hours of calling to get 1 appointment. So think about the time commitment involved in cold calling. This takes work, folks. The problem is people see people cold calling and they don't think they're being productive. And I'm telling you, you have to sit down, you have to lock yourself in a room, turn off your computer, turn off all distractions, and focus. And just do the work. And it works every single time. Great times to call. Call early, between 8 and 9 a.m., call over the lunch hour, 12 to 1, and call at the end of the day, 4 to 5. Those are the magic hours when most people are in their offices and they're taking phone calls. Once you get into the meat of the morning, once you get into the meat of the afternoon, that's when they're in meetings, that's when they're unavailable. So how do you track this? One of the things that I talked about was the fact that it's a numbers game, and it truly is. If you notice, you have appointments, you have proposals, and you have contracts. This is the cycle or the funnel that you see in most sales. It takes an appointment to get a proposal to get a contract. If you notice, look at the numbers. We forecast 50 meetings. We had an actual 96 meetings. We ended up with 28 proposals, and we ended up with 9 contracts. When you say, I want 10 contracts, you have to understand that that's what we call an outcome number. It's not a number you can influence. You can't tell somebody, I want you to do something and get a contract. There's no functionality that makes that happen. What makes it happen is it starts with an appointment. You have to get an appointment first, then you have to get a proposal, and then you get a contract. And understanding how these numbers flow through and the conversion rates that you're looking at is very important to forecasting, because the boss is going to ask you, how many contracts do you expect to have this month? If you know this, and you know, if you can see on this line, this is the actual conversion rate, you know that 29% of these appointments will result in proposals, and 32% of those will result in contracts, you can tell your boss with pretty high confidence, if I get 50 meetings, I'm going to get X number of contracts. That puts you in a very powerful position. So in summary here, folks, you need to find your prospects by profiling your customers. Look at your backyard first. Use the free online tools to create your list. There's no need to spend money on lists. There really isn't. And then create a message based on your prospects' high priority jobs. And then finally, cold call. Those are the things that are going to drive this. And folks, I've been doing this for a long time. This tool works, and this is how you find and engage new customers. So now if you have any questions, I can take some questions from you folks.
Oh, how do you pay for this stuff? How do you do it?
No.
No.
Ryan, it doesn't look like we've got too many questions. I think everybody must have consumed the information very successfully and understand what's going on. I wish everyone the best with this. As I said before, if you have any questions downstream and you want to have a private conversation, you'll get an email from us with a link to this video, and you can watch it again, and you can follow up with me individually. So Ryan, it's back to you, bud.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. Michael, thanks again for sharing your knowledge with us, and again, presenting us with extremely valuable, foundational information that we can put into practice right away. Thank you so much. Our next webinar on April 15th, and we'll repeat that at 1 o'clock on April 17th, and it will feature John Keelick of AXA Advisors in how to protect your business value. You can register for the April webinar and all of our upcoming webinars on our website at www.uwgb.edu/SBDC. And with that, again, thank you very much, Michael Wentworth of TMR Associates, and First Business Bank as our partner in this webinar series. And thank you all for attending. Shortly, as Michael mentioned, you will receive an email with the recording link to this webinar and registration links to our upcoming webinars. Please share it. Now, go find and engage those new customers. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.